Hello and welcome back for another episode. Today I'm going to be sharing a difficult conversation with you. So bear with me and we'll see how this goes. I want to talk about that feeling of having a hurricane in your head. Or I have had a hurricane in my head. I call it a hurricane because it's that feeling of there's just so much going on that you can't hear yourself think over all of the noise that's going on in your head, all the various different thoughts that are swirling around. And I didn't even realize that there was this storm in my head. I guess I ignored it because it was normal to me. Now the word normal, we all use it a lot. And I heard a comment by Ashley C. Ford. She's the author of Somebody's Daughter, a wonderful memoir. And she was speaking on the Brené Brown Unlocking Us podcast, which I highly recommend. But in this episode, she said that normal are the things that should happen, and common are the things that just do happen. So my life was a frenzy, and I just didn't know it. I didn't notice because I was just so busy being busy, and I was absolutely exhausted. I can look back now, and now as I'm working on myself, and I can see how my upbringing influenced my busyness. I can remember my mom and my grandmother always on the go. There was always a job that needed to be done. We lived on a farm, so there was always something to do. And I never saw my mum rest. And sadly, I don't think I ever saw her have fun. I can probably recollect one memory of my mum laughing. But I've got a ton of memories of my mum working. And here I was doing the same thing in my own life too. Juggling work, wanting to succeed in my career while raising 2 children. Then you mix my own behaviors with my husband's alcohol dependency. Well, that just led to me being in a frenzy. And I have to say that now, with all I've learned and looking back, I now realize that it wasn't Chris's alcohol dependency that caused the frenzy. No, it was me. It was my behaviors and how I was managing with everything going on in our lives. I didn't realize that the frenzy made us late all the time. I didn't realize that the frenzy led to sleepless nights. I didn't realize that the frenzy kept me from being present with my own children. I was always busy in my head, preparing for the next drama, the next bit of chaos, always preparing for the unpredictable. And this storm in my head was fueled by my perfectionism, by my self-doubt, my guilt, and my own longing for love. My brain was always busy. I was always busy. I always pushed to do more, fueled by that desire to create a happy home, a perfect family, and a beautiful house where there's a place for everything and absolutely everything in its place. And longing for that loving husband, which I did have. I just didn't get to see him very much. He was absent. So when all of that life fell apart, the hurricane in my head got bigger. It didn't disappear. It got bigger. And it wasn't until the pandemic hit, which was 3 years after his death, 3 years after, I gave myself permission to slow down and to rest and to start to heal. I started to spend time at the seaside at my beach hut on a regular basis. It's the sound of the waves as they washed away the noise in my head. And my beach hut really has become my sanctuary. It's my quiet place that I call my little red happy place. I can go there to rest and to play. I've certainly introduced a lot more playfulness in my life. It's that time by the sea that does help make my worries and my stress just melt away. It just puts everything back into perspective for me. And as things quieted in my head, I find myself able to start to learn to meditate and to sit with myself. I started to be able to be still and to let go. Now I found that, getting to this point in time, even before I was able to calm the noise in my head, I developed little routines to help me cope better. So if you're finding that life is a little bit hectic, a little bit chaotic, here are some of the things that I used to do in those circumstances to help me be able to prevent a frenzy, or to at least be able to deal with it better when it did happen. So these are a few things that I did that proved to be really helpful, especially with children. So I would lay out all the clothes the night before, and that just gave me a chance to make sure that all the kids' uniform pieces were there, or the clothes were clean that you wanted to wear, so there could be no surprises in the morning. So everything was ready. Second thing I did was I even laid the table for breakfast. I know that sounds crazy, but it gave me one less thing to have to do in the morning, because mornings could be unpredictable with young kids, and you never really knew how much time they would need. Things didn't always go according to plan. So laying the table just gave me more time in the morning, and it helped me to just sort of think and organize meals for breakfast, which I've always said to the kids was something, we always sat down together and had breakfast together. It was that little bit of calm family time before we all headed out the door. I did start to get up earlier in the mornings, and that extra bit of time to start the day gave me that breathing space to do the things that I wanted to do. Sometimes it was just making a list. And then I developed the habit of having 2 glasses of water as soon as I woke up every morning. It's a nice, healthy way to start the day and to cleanse your body. And then I added in some exercise, even if it was just 5 minutes, 5-minute walk outside, just doing something to get your body moving, whether it's sitting on the yoga mat and doing some stretches, or going for a walk outside in the garden, whatever it was, just a little bit of exercise, and I still do that every day. After that, get showered, get dressed. For some time over the years, there was days I didn't shower. I didn't tell anyone that, but yeah, there were days when I didn't shower. Just couldn't bring myself to doing it. So make sure you add that into the routine to have a shower. And now, when I shower, I even have a burst of cold water at the end. And there's just something about that just wakes your whole body up in your brain. It clears that fog in the head, so I highly recommend that. Then throughout your day, another thing to do is to just make sure you take some short breaks. I have a rebounder in my office, and I'll jump on that, or I'll go walk outside in the garden, have a glass of water outside, just something to get me away from my desk now that I'm working from home. So important to plan in those breaks. And make sure to eat lunch. I'm famous for skipping lunch, so this is one that I still work on, and reach for something healthy. A nice salad, lots of fresh raw fruit, vegetables and fruits are really good to have in the middle of the day. In the afternoon, take another break. Make sure you take a break, plan in those breaks. And the big one for me, the game changer, was meditating. learning to meditate. Take some time for quiet time. I continue to practice meditation and building that skill to be able to be still, and I do this on a daily basis, and I try to do it twice a day, learning to just step back and observing my thoughts, my feelings, and my body, and in doing so letting go of so much. It's been incredibly helpful. So I no longer feel that hurricane in my head on a daily basis. Sometimes it does still get noisy, absolutely it does, but I'm in a better place to know what to do when that happens. So I rest, I play, I meditate, and all of these things help. Now, I always like to end an episode with gratitude. So I'd like to share that I'm so grateful for my beach hut. And also I'm grateful for having the courage to rest, to acknowledge my exhaustion, that it wasn't normal, and to stop. Even when I felt I couldn't stop. I think that was one of the scariest things I've ever done, is learning to stop, to walk away from the work and rest. It's done me a world of good. So that one thing that you can take away from this episode, the one thing that you can try to support you on your healing journey, is taking time to rest. Stop. Spend some time in nature. It will help to quiet your mind. Give it a try. You never know, you might just find that you start smiling again.